Hey guys, what is up? So, I went a little bit crazy again. I always do this. I went to the store and I got myself a Ryzen 9. Can you see that? 5900X and some Ripjaws memory. This is DDR4 3200 4 gigabytes by 2. This was $60 Canadian. CPU was $660 Canadian, and I had to buy a thermal paste as well. This is an old one, it's almost empty, but there should be enough for one CPU in here. And I have some of these old parts just sitting around. So I've got this big cooler here. This is a Coolmaster Hyper 212, and I'm going to put a fan on there. That's old recycled parts. We're going to be using an ROG Strix B550F gaming motherboard. I got this from a Newegg bundle a long time ago when I was getting graphics cards back when they made you get these insane bundles. Here is the motherboard. This is brand new. I was going to sell this locally, but people want to give you like $100 for these things, so I could never sell it. I decided I'm just going to keep it and do a build with it. So this is the power supply that we're going to use. This is a Thermaltake Tough Power 750 watt gold. This is a really old one that I got for my original mining computer. This is just sitting around here. We've just got it's not modular, semi-modular, so we've got the motherboard stuff already in there. We need this to power the graphics card just temporarily to run the BIOS settings. And then our SATA cable power, which is going to stay in there because we're going to run an SSD on this thing. First off, what we have to do, because this is a new Ryzen 5, it's a 5000 series Ryzen, this BIOS needs to be updated. So what we're going to do is run over to the computer, and we're going to have to use this BIOS flashback button right here. So we'll go take you over to the computer and see what that looks like. We need to go to the Asus website. Just type in the motherboard, whichever one you're using. Right here, we've got the ROG Strix B550F Gaming. Go over here to Driver and Utility, BIOS. So we're going to download this onto our flash drive. Here's our file. We need to extract this here. Delete the original file. So we're going to open this here. Sorry about that glare here. I hope this is focusing. With these Asus BIOS, we've got here this BIOS renamer. All you do is click on that, press any key to continue, and that renames this cap file here. So what you want to do is right-click that. We can cut that, paste it. You want that in the main. We'll delete that file. You want this in the main folder. Nothing else in here. Over here, right-click your thumb drive, hit eject, ready to go. So we've got our thumb drive. We're going to stick this into the back of the motherboard here. Before I do that, actually, we're going to put some standoffs off here. I just ordered these off of Amazon. I got a whole bunch of just standoffs here, a whole bunch of different sizes. Standoffs are all on. 9 of them on there. I've seen some guys like Rapid Mining uses these little plastic pegs. I've never tried those before. I've just got these cheap little standoff screws. What we're going to have to do now is plug in our motherboard power. So we've got our 8-pin CPU. Interesting, this is an 8 and a 4. I only have an 8, so let's see if that works. I guess we need to put our RAM in there as well. So you got to be careful with this one side. This side's shorter than this side. So when you're putting this in here, make sure that you have the right lengths. Make sure that the RAM is lined up with the slot. You don't want to push it in there if it's not lined up. Like if you try to stick it in this way, the slot right here will not line up with the slot on the motherboard and you will bend the pins. So I'm going to try doing this BIOS flashback with no CPU in here. I've got nothing in here. We don't have anything in here. Keyboard, anything. We're going to plug it in. Take our USB drive. Let's see if I'm going to turn this around so you can see it a little better. We're going to take our USB drive, stick it in here where it says BIOS. I need to get an on-off switch. I forgot that. Here's our on-off switch. You just find the header over here. There's some really tiny writing right here. One of these ones will say power SW. That's your power switch. Plug it in. And now for later, we've got our little switch here. We can turn it on and off. Okay, I'm going to turn on the motherboard. Turn on the power supply. Power supply is on. But I haven't turned on this motherboard. What we're going to do is press the right here. We're going to press this BIOS flashback button. You're supposed to hold it down for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. You see there's a little green light flashing in there. Can you see that there? Maybe, maybe not. You just let it do its thing. It's flashing right now. While that is doing its thing, we're going to come back over to the computer. I've got a SSD drive right here in this little external enclosure. So what we're going to do is plug this into the computer and flash Hive onto this. We are plugged into the computer. We need to open this program here. Balena Etcher. Balena Etcher. Flash, we are going to pick HiveOS. It already picked the Patriot. We'll just make sure that's right. Yeah, you pick your Patriot, or whatever your SSD is, and then hit flash. It'll pop up this, hit yes. You let it do its thing. Come over here into Hive. Click here, add worker. We're going to add a rig. Connect existing. We're just going to go right here into our settings. What you need to do is come over to this ID here. Click on the rig.conf and we're going to download this onto our flash drive once it finishes flashing. Flash complete. So what we need to do now is you come right over here, unplug this, plug it back in, come over here to our rig.conf, and it's not showing up here, our drive. So what we want to do here is search Windows, and you want to type in disk management. So we're here, create and format hard disk partitions. You want to scroll down to the bottom. Here's our Hive. Right click that. Go change drive letter and paths. Add. Assign a following letter. Doesn't matter what this is. You just hit OK. And then that allows Hive to be selected on the computer. We can close that. Go back here. This is our rig.conf file. So now we can select Hive and save that. That is saved. Now you want to eject. Everyone's ejected before. We'll just go here, eject. Save to remove. Now this is ready to go into the computer once it is done. We've got Hive on here. Here's my lovely old graphics card that I'm going to be using. Doesn't even have USB on it. I've got this old school adapter on there to it doesn't have HDMI on it, so I'm going to use this HDMI adapter. This is an 8800 Ultra. Nice and old, this thing. She's a beauty. Let's check this thing out. Is the light is solid green on the BIOS flashback. We got a solid green light here, which means something didn't go right with the BIOS flashback. I'm going to reformat this drive and try it over again. Let's see if this works. They did it one more time. Turns out I was using the wrong BIOS. I was using the ROG Strix B550F Gaming, not the gaming Wi-Fi. So now I found the Wi-Fi version of this. Let's see if this works. Hold this down for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And it's flat. Okay, there we go. Light keeps blinking. That's exactly what we want. It's flashing the BIOS. So the issue that I had before with the solid green light was I was using the wrong BIOS. Good old Asus. There's the gaming version and then the gaming Wi-Fi version. So make sure you grab the right BIOS if you're doing this at home. Save yourself some headache. We are back at the board. The light is out, which means the BIOS has flashed. So I'm going to shut this thing off. Take that out. I don't need this mounting gear. I'm going to swap this out for one that this cooler uses. So I changed the battery on my camera and I forgot to hit go on it. In the meantime, everything that I've missed was putting in the mounting bracket and then screwing this down. I was just going in an X pattern to make sure there's even tension all the way across the board. Nice and tight. This is a Jumbo Cool Master 212 it's called. So I applied thermal paste. I think that we missed that. I used Arctic Silver 5 and I spread it everywhere on the CPU. So we'll say this is a CPU face. I like to squirt this in a zigzag pattern across it. And then I take a spreader, which is in the sink right now, and I'll spread it like this all the way across until every bit of the surface is covered in thermal paste. I know some guys just do a line or a blob or whatever and they put it on. I've never done that. I always spread it so the entire surface is covered with it. Here's our CPU cooler. We installed the Ryzen 9 5900X. That's what we've got in there. I think showing that off, I think I missed all that thanks to me not hitting record. For a fan, I'm using this big old parallel miner 6100 RPM ASIC fan just because that's what I have. The one that came with this, I don't have it anymore. I'm going to slow this down in the BIOS though because I don't want this thing screaming at a 6100 RPM. I want to blow the air this way because when I have this set up, I'll just flip it around right now I guess. In the mining room, the way I have it, air's going to blow this way. Cold air is going to be on this side of the room, hot air on this side of the room. So I'm going to have it passing across it this way. So we plug that into there. CPU fan. Graphics card, which we need to get into the BIOS. Might as well hook this thing up while we're at it. Now this is a very temporary build location. I'm not sure if you could tell or not, but we are on top of a freezer. 24 pin goes here. 8-pin CPU goes here. So this motherboard has an extra 4-pin. It doesn't need to plug them both in. I don't have an extra 4 on this power supply. So we're just going to use the 8. That's enough. Don't ever use just the 4. You have to use at least the 8 or the 8 plus 4. Never just the 4. We'll plug in the SATA here. Don't forget to plug in the graphics card. Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake. How many of you guys have powered up mining rigs and not had your miners plugged in? I know I've done that before. For a keyboard for these, I just use this. This Bluetooth keyboard comes with a little dongle. This is super handy. You just plug that in, and then you have a keyboard on anything that you need to troubleshoot or anything. It's just got Bluetooth built right in. It's perfect. I'm going to fire this up. I've got my little button here to turn it on, and we're going to go into the BIOS. Fire it up. Turn it on. This motherboard is not happy about something. That solid white light indicates a VGA error, which is my graphics card. Let's see what's going on here. So what was going on was the box under here. This box was interfering with the edge of the graphics card and it wasn't seating properly. So now it is seated properly. Here we are in the BIOS. Hit delete. First time you gotta hit F1 for setup. I'm gonna just run here to the Q fan control. I went into easy mode. I'm gonna set up my CPU fan. We're gonna do manual. I've set the fan to 27%. That seems like a good, nice level. We'll go hit F7, go to the advanced mode. AI overclock tuner. CPU core ratio. We're going to put this 44. Precision boost overdrive. Disable these. CPU voltage. Okay, we're going to try putting this at 1.1. Leave everything else at auto, just wherever it is. We're going to set this up just like it was a mining computer in case you want to put some cards on here. So I'm going to put everything on Gen 2. Everything that can possibly go to Gen 2 is going to go to Gen 2. We don't need a Wi-Fi controller. We don't need a Bluetooth controller. We'll go down to power management. Restore on AC power loss, power on. PCI above 4G decoding. We're going to enable this just in case we've got cards. We will turn off fast boot. And I am happy. Let us save changes and reset. Excellent. We are booting to Hive. So I'm going to find an Ethernet cable, plug that in. I am going to unplug that graphics card, and then we are going to take a look at the software on this. Ethernet is plugged in. Graphics card has been removed. We've got our nice cooler. We've got our SSD right here. We don't need this. I'll clean all this stuff up later. It's a mess. We are going to power on this power supply, and everything should just boot up on its own because of those BIOS changes we made. Let's see. Looks good. Started up on its own. That's fantastic. Let's go take a look in the software now and see what Hive is telling us. We're booted here in the software. We're going to click Update to Latest. Force upgrade, reboot after completed. This is showing that we are good. Up here, we've got the right version. We're going to go over to Flight Sheets. I already made this flight sheet for it. Launch. Let's check out the overview. Here's all our cores. We'll check out the shell and see what it shows. Here's our CPU miner. Could not load the GR tune config because it doesn't exist. So we're doing a full tune. 220 minutes remaining. Perfect. We'll leave this throughout the night and take a look at it tomorrow and see how things are going. It is the next morning. As you can see here, the CPU miner has been running for 5 hours and 33 minutes. Not sure why it just did that, but we saw pretty quick there that it's running. You go over here to Flock Pool. It is this one right here, the 5900X. So our average hash rate is 3.68 kilohash a second. You can see this one right here is also a 5900X, but it is a GPU miner as well. So this one is running significantly better. The clocks were a little bit different on this one too. I believe I put the voltage at 1.1 and on this one it's 1.2. So that's good news. This one's using less threads. This one's using all of the threads, so it's performing a bit better. That's an interesting test there. These are just some other cards that I have. So everything is up and running and hashing, as you can see. So you want to build a CPU rig. Hopefully this helps you a little bit. And I am going to be monitoring this data and we'll see how profitable these things are, if they are at all. Take it easy, guys.